Hello and welcome everybody to today's webinar. Today we take a look at the real estate market 2026. Where are the biggest opportunities now? To start off, let's take a look back to the crisis. From crisis to market consolidation. Sorry for that. And looking back from the crisis to market consolidation, we have some very important things. On the first hand, it's the extreme caution that dominated the market as rising interest rates led to a state of shock among investors and banks. And a flight to quality followed. So during this phase, only prime assets with a clear focus on risk reduction were able to perform, as investors concentrated exclusively on high quality properties. Of course, why shouldn't they? And then, painful but necessary, the price correction. The price correction were inevitable. The market had to go through a painful but necessary adjustment phase in order to rebuild a healthy foundation for future growth. And now, the turning point in 2025. The stability returns. According to our analysis, the market transitioned this year. So last year, kind of, because now we're in 2026. So stabilization set in a price, and the prices began to settle at a new level after the correction phase. That was important, but now gives us a lot of opportunities. So the market revival, and we see it as the transaction activity increased by 25% year on year to approximately around 3.4 billion euros. That's in Austria, and that's a very big increase in combination of the other years. And predictability is a very important thing, because when you have a financial plan for the future, then predictable investment focus returns, and a more and stable interest rate outlook improves, of course, the financial conditions and made projects predictable again. And that's interesting for investors. Maybe that's also, or especially, I think that's the reason for the stability and the turning point for the real estate market. When we take a look at the winning segments last year, so we have residentials, and residentials benefit, of course, significantly from demographic trends and persistent excess demand combined with a declining supply. When we take a look at the logistics and retail parks, of course, they established themselves as crisis-resistant anchors in a volatile environment. Of course, they had to go on because all the companies out there worked, even if the people stayed at home. And then let's take at the hotels and service departments a little bit closer. So that was a very interesting thing to take a look at, because the tourists and service departments proved particularly attractive as a new investment form. And as you see, also overnight stays increased by 10%, making the segment highly appealing to investors again. That's why we from Rocksolid also focus a lot in this segment, And tourism in metropolitan areas such as Vienna showed impressive resilience. And as you know, after the crisis, everybody wanted to travel. And that's what we see in the apartments and hotels out there. And let's take the outlook for this year. It's a very attractive phase to enter the real estate market into many different areas. So I'm focusing here especially on the commercial real estate. And the projects become viable again. And despite geopolitical uncertainties, the outlook for this year is very positive, I think. So we see a window of opportunities that is unlikely to come around again anytime for the moment. So it's a perfect entry opportunity for everybody who wants to invest into real estate. And a little bit later in this webinar, I maybe show you something that could be very interesting for you. So take a little bit a deeper dive into how could we invest, for instance, 10,000 euro, 100,000 euro in inflation protected real estate, because that's what real estate on the long term is, and maybe also take a next step into the field of solar power, and that fully regulated. Today we are thinking of different options. On the one hand side, let's take a look. Here you can see Stefan. He's 38. He had been saving for years to buy his first property, but then the inflation hit. And as you know, the last years were a little bit crazy. Everything got more expensive, and the inflation kind of took a part of our earnings or of our savings, and investing into real estate wasn't that easy anymore. Even if you save 10,000, 50,000 or 100,000, if you want to buy real estate, you have to take at least amount of money and get on. And also let's take a look at Anna. She's a person, she wanted her money to work for the future, but not just sit in a savings account, and invest into sustainable things. Not only real estate, but she wants to do something with her money. So let's take a deep dive and look out on Rocksolid. What we do at Rocksolid. As you might already know, we combine all the things mentioned before. Especially now when the real estate market is very attractive for people to invest into the real estate market, we can jump into a little bit deeper. At Rocksolid Estate AG, we give you the possibility to invest into inflation-protected real estate and in solar power with just one token. So we are a very modern company where one token, it's called the Rock token, represents all properties Rocksolid owns. And the minimum investment starts at €100. So if you've saved some money for buying some real estate in the future, or if you want to diversify, if you have, for instance, some ETFs or other investments and you want to diversify, especially in that market situation where we are currently at, then you should also consider real estate. But of course, entering the real estate market takes a lot of money, but not with Rocksolid. So the investment hurdle is around €100, but it should be definitely better to invest 1,000, 5,000 or even 10,000 and more, because then you get some amazing benefits. Because the token, as I mentioned, represents all real estate that we own. What's important, all real estate that we own is finally developed, and we don't build real estate. We just buy real estate that generates revenue from day one. And that's important. And of course, it's not only that. We also diversify in different asset classes. As I mentioned at the beginning, we focus on commercial real estate. And when you focus on commercial real estate, you have different options. Investing in hospitality, in industrial parks, in photovoltaic plants, or even office buildings. And diversifying in different asset classes gives you the opportunity to diversify also the risk. And with the Rock token, that starts at €1 per Rock token, that represents all real estate that we own, you get a monthly payout in EURC. EURC is a euro-backed token that you can exchange to euro and your bank account anytime. And you receive this on a monthly basis. So also some more benefits for investors. The Rock token is designed for stability, participation and long-term value. And as I mentioned, the real estate that we buy is fully developed, and you as an investor have voting rights. So we ask you what we should do. So we have a very good pipeline of real estate because we have a good partnership with England Völker's Commercial Vienna, where we see a lot of good opportunities to invest into the real estate market. And we show you different things where we should invest, and you can decide whether we should invest in more in the direction of hospitality, or more into the office building area, or focus more in the sustainable energy like photovoltaic. So we have very amazing projects right now that are coming and that are happy to be voted on. And because our real estates are fully developed, we can also pay out EURC, so every month, and the immediate return is, on the one hand side, the thing that gives you a monthly income. But also the Rock token represents the real estate. So the long-term growth of the real estate means also a value development of the Rock token. And let's take also a deeper look to the energy initiative of Rocksolid. So our plan is to generate additional income streams beyond the rental revenue. And we want to strengthen our investors' returns and the stability. So we invest next to the normal real estate in photovoltaic plants, for instance, with one interesting project here in Vienna, but also one somewhere else in Austria. And forward thinking is also a very important thing, because when we buy some real estates like office building and then we put photovoltaic on the roof, then we of course generate our own electricity and increase the yield of that property. And the long-term goal is providing access to affordable renewable energy to everyone. So joint participation in local photovoltaic projects in Austria, as I mentioned, is the first step. And then, for all ROC token holders in the future, we will give you an access to discounted electricity tariffs for you. But at the moment, it's just planned for Austria, but it soon will maybe also come for Germany and other countries. So you have double benefits. On the one hand side, you invest into real estate, into the ROC token. We buy some hospitality, some office buildings and so on, but also invest into photovoltaic that generates energy and some income, because the people who buy this energy is maybe you as an investor, but you get a discounted price for the energy. So you get a financial return because you own some ROC token, but you get also the opportunity to get energy cheaper. And that's a long-term vision for self-sustaining investor network in the energy sector. And what's also important, at Rocksolid we don't have fixed fees. The value that we add to the property is because of optimization of the asset. On the one hand side, it could be by implementing AI, what we did in some other properties that we own, but also implementing some, from the one hand side, it could be an energy optimization of the real estate to save on energy, but also when you take a look at the hospitality sector, when you implement something like dynamic pricing or entering the flat not with a key but digital, and optimizing this process, you generate more income. But because we don't have a fixed fee, our cost structure is not increasing with the profit that's getting into the company from our rental. And what we do, we have a share. You as investors get 80% of the share, and Rocksolid as a company takes 20%. So if we perform good, we earn money, and also our investors. And you as our investors can decide what we should do with the extra profit. Should we reinvest it into real estate, or should we kind of optimize our real estate or buy new real estate? Or if you want to have a bigger payout, we can also decide via the votings that we pay out more on a monthly basis, because the profit after, for instance, selling a real estate, let's say for 1 million, what should we do with the million? Should we reinvest, or should we distribute it to our investors via the payouts? And also the risk diversification is a very important thing at Rocksolid. So multiple assets in different asset classes gives you the security that the risk is diversified via hospitality, industrial real estate, office real estate, and photovoltaic. And let's take a closer look on how it's working. So from the investment to the value creation. In the end, you buy the ROC token via our broker Jonathan Mars and gain exposure to the ROC token. After buying the ROC token, we buy real estate or asset or manage the asset and optimize it. With that, we try to increase the value and also the rental income of the real estate. But as I mentioned, with our connection to England Focus, we have the opportunity to get a lot of good real estates for you that Rocksolid buys. And after buying it, of course, you receive a monthly payout from day one, because our real estate generates profit from day one. And that you receive a euro-backed token gets directly distributed to your wallet. And of course, the token itself and the real estate itself has the opportunity for value to develop. And in the long term, the assets develop. So as you know, real estate is kind of an inflation protection, and you can use it by buying the ROC token. And you can decide. As I mentioned, we have some key facts and investment measurements that we are showing to our investors. It's like choices for property acquisition, for sales, or the strategic on operational decisions. If we should, as I mentioned, reinvest or focus more on the photovoltaic sector, or focus more on something like office buildings, and let's stay on the not so future focused investment side. So you kind of shape the way Rocksolid develops in the future. The market opportunity for tokenized real estate in Europe is especially in the tokenizable real estate market with 150 billion extremely enormously big. But we as Rocksolid, we plan to service around 15 to 25 million within the next 24 months. But there's of course a lot of more potential because the real estate out there can be tokenized easily with our focus. Maybe to add something, we are a company based in Vienna. It's a Austrian stock company. We are fully regulated by the Austrian Financial Authority, the FMA. We have a capital market prospectus that gives you the security of regulated investment in a very futuristic and interesting market. Especially when you take a look at the market opportunity for real world assets all around the world. And here, within the next years, the serviceable market will be, with 250 million of our plan, very interesting. So as you can see, we can on the one hand side buy real estate 100% asset backed with investor money, but we can also cooperate with banks, especially now when it's plannable, when the interest rates are plannable for the project planning. And after that, of course, a strong team is important. And here's a part of our team that you can see. We have a core team that has expertise in real estate and fintech for more than 35 years. On the one hand side, my name is Sebastian. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Rocksolid Estate. And we focus on tokenization of real estate assets. But of course, you also need some good partners like Bernhard, Christian, and Georg that are very deep in the real estate sector. They help us find the real estate, do the due diligence and optimize it together also with our supervisory board member Leandra, where we are your number one team for getting this 2026 year to the next level. We also have a big variety of partners, especially when you want to do something like we did with the tokenization of real estate in Europe. And you need a prospectus. You need a lot of work to do to get this legally and regulatory fine. But with the approved prospectus, due to our help of our partners that you can see here, we achieved that. And now I just want to ask you, are you ready to invest? The investment is very easy. So download our brokers app to get started. You can also go to rocksolidestate.com/invest or go to the Google Play Store or App Store and download the Jonathan Mars app. There you can find Rocksolid and the Rock token as an investment opportunity. Jonathan Mars is a MiFID II licensed broker that gives you the opportunity to invest into Rocksolid. But what's important for you is that the investment is regulated, and after the investment you get redirected to the investor portal of Rocksolid. You get invited to an investor group where you can ask your questions. We also have, when you go on to rocksolidestate.com/invest, on the right hand side you have a 24/7 live support, AI based, that can answer you any questions around Rocksolid and what our plans are. But after you entered the Rocksolid ecosystem, you can go on to rocksolid.com and take a look deeper on what we do, and get part of this interesting future of tokenized real estate. I want to say thank you now for being part of today's webinar, and I hope that I see you soon in the next stream. Have a nice evening and bye bye.